I don't know if you could hear my husband in the background, but that's a bonus if you did. Hello, everybody. Okay, let's see here. What a guy. All right, let's see here. I'm just coordinating everything. I see that I'm on my laptop. I'm in the right group today, not like last time. That was horrible. I did a live in the other group. I hope I never do that again. All right. I see people are coming on. Oh, I got to turn that off. All right. Okay. So today we're going to enamel some pennies. I don't know if you enamel. If you do, maybe this isn't new to you, but maybe it will inspire you to try something a little bit different. Now, I mentioned in the group a couple weeks ago about the kinds of pennies that you need to use. And they need to be pennies that were minted before 1982. Um, some pennies, let's say that they changed the formulation in 1982. So some pennies minted 1982 might be all copper, but then again, they might not be. So the only way to determine which ones are truly copper is to weigh them. The copper ones will weigh more than the others. The new formulation for pennies is primarily zinc with a little bit of copper in there, but mostly, well, they will definitely burn up if you put them in the flame. So you don't want to use anything minted after 1982. Okay. Hi, Kathy. Okay, so I see we've got people on here, and obviously you're hearing me okay. So let's get started. The pennies that I did for this demo. Hey, Deb. Let's see here if I can get in here close enough. Are pretty fun. They have a lot of different colors that I used. Let's see, get in the frame just right, hopefully. I had already made a chainmail bracelet. This is the Byzantine, but you don't have to necessarily do that. That was just something that I had. It was easy to assemble. And then I attached my pennies to this. So it makes it kind of a fun charm bracelet. And then this one, I domed the pennies, and then I made a hole on either side so that I could link them together to make a bracelet like this. Hey, Debbie. Yeah, and then you could just make a pair of earrings just with the one hole, or you could make a hole on the bottom and then you could hang a dangle from them as well. So that's just entirely what you want to do with the designs. But you can use copper or silver. It really doesn't make any difference. Just whatever you like or have available. So yes, these are all pennies. On the back side, you can see the shadow of the penny because I don't have that many layers of enamel on them. And you really don't want a lot of layers on these because they tend to get too thick and then they become uneven. They kind of uh, not really drip, but the enamel kind of slides around, so it can get a little bit lumpy. So I find uh, that it's probably best to have about 2 coats, maybe 3 if you're using a transparent enamel, but I would use no more than that just so that you don't have that problem. The method that I'm going to fire these or torch these is the immersion method. And what that means is that I'm not using a tripod and a trivet. I am using uh, cans of enamel as such and a mandrel. That one here, a mandrel like this. This is, I believe, a 1/16 mandrel. And this one's a dirty one. This one I had used for lamp working, so it's still got some bead release on it. I won't be using this one. It just was handy for me to grab. But they're about 1/16 in diameter. So I will show you all of that as we get to that point. So what we do is we get the penny, in this case, red hot, and then dip it into the enamel, tap off the excess, and then hold it into the torch flame. And like I said, I'll show you all of that stuff in a minute. But you can, if you don't want to do the immersion method, you can use a tripod and a trivet and works pretty much just the same. I've gotten used to doing it this way and I really like it. It's pretty quick and easy in my opinion, and so that's why I'm going to do it this way. I'm also using some little, these are called floral wafers. I got these from Thompson Enamel, or you can get them from Enamel Warehouse on Etsy. You can get them there. Jean Van Brederode has these, and um, they're kind of pricey, but they kind of go a long way too. The only thing is sometimes there's a lot of little pieces in there, like little chips. They're not full little flowers. Um, but you can use those just the same. Actually, um, a few of these pieces that I made had a lot of the broken chips in them, and they look good just the same. So, especially when you're bunching it all together, it looks kind of nice. So, if you want to do it this way, you can get yourself a little baggie of these, and um, or you could use some frit. This is just crushed up little bits of glass. This is probably, well, this is what a lot of lamp workers use when they make their beads. Um, and there's different COEs, which is the coefficient of expansion, something like that. Uh, don't ask me. It's just it's necessary when you work with a lot of glass. But if you're not using a lot of it, you can mix some of the COEs. This is 96, I believe, and it works just fine. Okay. Don't ask me real technical questions because I'm not your girl for that. Um, Jennifer, yes, they can be kiln fired. Um, yeah, not a problem with that. This is just the immersion method is just a really quick and dirty kind of easy way to torch fire. It's like instant gratification. So that's why I like it so much because I don't have to fuss much with it. Let's see. Deb, I have your earrings on. Yes, I really like these a lot. And this was the project that I did 2 weeks ago. If you didn't see that. Um, I normally don't care for really large earrings. To me, this is large. I know it's not large for a lot of people, but um, I made them in several different sizes, and this was the largest. And I actually kind of like the best. So there's that. Okay, so when you are sorting your pennies, um, we always have like a cup jar or a coin jar at home that we put excess change and stuff in there. And I dug through well, I've been saving these for a long time, but when you go through your pennies, money, coins, well, even paper money, it's dirty. And coins especially pick up all kinds of crap. So um, normally when you're torch firing, just like copper sheet or, little metal shapes, if it has like a little bit of Sharpie marker on it or whatever, you don't have to clean it. If it has a little oxidation on it, you don't have to clean it. The fire will burn all that stuff off. But not so much with pennies. Pennies accumulate all kinds of grime. So the best and easiest way for me was to just take them all and throw them in my pickle, in the pickle pot, and let them sit there for about 10 minutes. And then I just ran them under the faucet with a brass brush, and they came out looking brand new, basically. So they will accept the enamel much better. If you try to put a grimy uh, penny in the torch fire, I mean enamel on it, it just doesn't accept the enamel so well. So uh, trust me on this. It's worth the extra few minutes just to clean them up. You'll be more satisfied with the results. All right. Okay, so covered cleaning them, covered the years, and then now the next thing is we're going to put holes in them. I have found when you do the torch, well, actually, any enameling, if you're going to put hanging holes in them, it's nicer to have a little bit larger hole because the enamel wants to fill in that hole. And if too much fills in there, you can either fill it completely and then that's a mess trying to find the hole and drill through it. That I don't recommend that. Or it fills in just enough that maybe your jump ring's not going to fit in it properly. So if you punch a hole larger, a little bit larger than you normally would, that's really a better solution for using that as hanging holes. Okay, so that way there's no problem with clearance. Now on these are 3/32 holes that I punched in the pennies, and I found that they are sufficient uh, to use. But like if you have a 2-hole punch and one end's a 3/32, the other one's a 1/16, don't use the 1/16. You'll be sorry that you did that. So just punch a little bit larger hole. And with the pennies, especially if you're doing double holes, one on each side, um, you don't want the hole to be too large. I mean, because you could go up even a little bit bigger than the 3/32. But if you do that and you're making a double hole, um, you don't have that much surface area to curve or dap, whatever, and then have your enamel on there. So I don't know if I made that clear or not, but I confuse myself. So I'm going to put these examples to the side and we will start making some holes. Sip. Get hot pipes from talking so much. Okay, so I am going to use um, my little drill press for this. I would I would tend to want to use a drill press rather than uh, like a 2-hole punch or a hole punch, only because the pennies are pretty thick, and you could possibly break the little uh, ends of your hole punches. So I would recommend if you have a drill punch uh, handy, that I would use that. Okay. All right. So I'm going to try to position everything so that you can see it. I had to move things around a little bit more than usual, especially with uh, the torch firing, because I normally torch uh, at my station, at my lamp working station, and use a lamp working torch for that. But just for convenience, so that I don't have to move around all over the place while I'm doing this demo, I'm doing it a little bit differently. All right, so here's my small drill press. I have a 3/32 twist drill in here. And I have, well, I need to do something else before I get to that point. I've got my cleaned pennies here. And I have found by doing these the perfect places where to make the holes. I've got a center punch and just a regular hammer and a steel bench block. And I'm going to put my cheaters on here. And I'm going to make my punches, my hole punches. I don't measure anything, you know me. But if I do the top and center of Abe's head, and I do the center of his body, they're lined up perfectly. Okay, so it's the middle of the top of his head is where I'm going to put the first hole, and then I'm going to put the second hole directly below it, and that comes out to be the middle of his suit coat. I kill myself thinking about what you might be thinking that's going on in my head, but this is how I work. So I'm going to line up that center punch right on the top of his head, give it one whack, and then, well, that's all I'm going to do for this top one. Now, if I want to do, well, no, let's say if I want to do a dangle on this one, I'll put I'm lining it up on the middle of his jacket, on the bottom, give it a whack. So there's a hole on the top of his head and in the middle of his jacket with the center punch. Okay. All right. So that's for a 2-hole one. If I want to do a dapped piece, where's my, oh, here it is. My steel block. What I'll do is I'll dap it first before I make my holes, because if I make the holes and then I dap it, the holes get distorted. They're no longer round, they're more ovally and squished. So you don't want that. You want to dap your pieces first. And where's my punches? Okay, I set all this stuff out. Oh, here they are. They're hiding. Okay. So I am going to give this guy a couple of whacks. It's going to be loud. And I don't really want a strong form of a cup. I just want a little bit of a curve, just enough. I don't know if you can see that. It's just curved just enough to give it a little bit of dimension. So then I would do that with however many I want to do. And then I'm going to punch him at the same place, but from the inside of the curve. Okay, so I'm going to do that. So I'm going to get to the top of his head here. And then the bottom in the middle of his jacket. If you get too close to the edge, like I did on this one, you kind of deform the metal a little bit. This isn't going to be a big deal though with the enamel over it. Okay. And then when I drill the holes, it's a little tricky, but not bad. I'm going to use my ring clamp and clamp this in real well. Push that other end in so that it doesn't get away from me. And then I'm going to go over to the drill press, and I work on the edge because that's the only way I can line it up with this big thick thing over here. And I'm going to turn it on full blast. Line myself up. My hand's probably going to be in your way. Okay. Turn that over now and do the other side. Okay, you get lots of little copper splinters, shavings, whatever, from the drill. And then I'm going to take my file, my metal file, because it's always going to have a little bit of burr on the side of the hole. So I'm just going to file that off on both ends, and that's good. So that's one that's domed. The domed ones are going to be a little trickier to torch fire with the enamel, and I'll show you. I cannot find a better method, and well, I'll show you when I get there. It's a little dicey. That's all I can say. All right. All right. So I'll make a couple more. Good. Put that in the right position. In the middle of his head, or his hair, I should say. In the middle of his jacket. Okay. And then I'm going to do just a couple with just the one hole, either for earrings or for a charm bracelet. Okay, so I'll drill a few more holes. Gina says she recently found out that the metal shavings are called the Swarf. That's an interesting name. Who knew? Interesting little tidbits we pick up. All right, so make sure when you do this that you've got everything lined up just right and that your penny is secure. You don't ever want to hold on to something like this with your fingers. It can get away from you. It can really hurt you. So just be really careful. Set yourself up for safety and success. And I always turn it on full blast so it has enough power to go right through the penny. Okay, I have enough of those. So much for the drill press. It's pretty darn handy. Let's file this rough stuff off. Any questions to this point? Poor Mr. Lincoln. Well, yeah, he's taking his abuse, but he's being turned into some beautiful stuff, some fun stuff. All right. So I've previously had done some extra pennies, holes in them, but I doubt that I'm going to do that many for the demo. All right. Hey, Wendy. All right, so let me get my pennies ready here. Oh, I need to, what do I need to do? Oh, I need to make a couple more with the domed, to dome a couple pennies to show you more than one example when I torch fire it. So here we go. That's good. All right, so let me mark these guys. So I'm not done with my drill press yet. Almost though. I just want to have a couple other pennies available for an example if I need them. All right. Get back here. All right. This will go fast. Where's the other one I just did? Oh, put it on my bench block. Oh, full blast. Okay. Spoon. Oops. Okay, now we have enough stuff. Get all the swarf off of me. You're absolutely right, Donna. You can absolutely do that. I did not do that, but I'm covering these with enamel, so I'm not going to worry about them too much, but you are absolutely right. All right. So I'm going to move down a little bit. Got this stuff all over me. Oh, it went in my sleeve. And it's stabbing me. Don't get this down your top, girls. I can guarantee you it's not going to be fun. All right. All right. So moving over to the torch area. Now, for this today, I'm going to use this, whatever you call it. It's a disposable butane can with a torch head. There's different opinions about these, and there's different kinds of torch heads. Some are better than others. A lot of times, it's kind of trial and error to find out which one's best. I happen to get this on Amazon, and so far so good. I've had some of the other name brand ones, and I've had some issues with a couple of them. So uh, it's not always it's hard to recommend something uh, fully because a lot of times people have issues with them, or I mean, not the people, but these things can uh, have some issues. And I hope that we don't have any while I'm doing this demo live, but you just never know. You just never know. So I have a few extras of the heads that I haven't opened yet, but hopefully everything will be just fine. Some people are leery about using this kind, and you don't have to. Like I said, I use a lampwork torch, which is a whole different animal when I enamel normally. Or you could use the canister or the cylinder of propane or uh, map gas. They come in long cylinders about yay big, and then you put a um, oh, I can't think of the name of it. It's a torch head. You put that on top of it, and but they're very loud. They do the job, but they're very loud. And I didn't want to use that for this demo because of the sound. You know, it's just too noisy. All right, now let's see if I can get all this stuff in the frame and not burn up my camera or my phone. I may have to play around with this a little bit, but we'll see. All right, because the flame's going to come out here. I'm going to be working out this way, so I may have to move this a little bit as I'm working. Okay, so before we actually start torching, here's a few things that I have to set up. My husband made this little container or this little stand for me for the MAP gas cylinders. And I just clamp it to the table, and then I don't have to worry about the can falling over, starting a fire. This is just like uh, safety first kind of stuff. All right. I just happen to put this little can in here and it stands all right. I tilted mine up just a little bit, clamped it on the table. When I work with my lampwork torch, I'm kind of at an angle like this. And I like that. I've gotten used to it and I like it. I wish I could tip this back more and feel secure about it, but I'm going to leave it as it is. You can get underneath the piece so much easier if your torch head is at a slight angle upwards. Okay, but this is not going to be quite that slanted, but it's better than just flat on the table. Then I have a glass or a jelly jar or whatever of water that I keep my mandrels in. I'm right-handed, so I'm going to keep my jar with my mandrels on my right side, and I'm going to keep my enamels on my left side. This is all for ease in use, okay? I always keep a pair of utility just junky utility pliers on hand when I'm working with hot stuff in case something flips off onto the table or onto the floor. I can grab them real quick with the pliers. It's just a safety thing. It's good to have. Um, I have tweezers. The, excuse me, these are lampwork tweezers. These are just regular tweezers. You can use either one. Just to grab my little floral wafers. I have a little dish that I have my little floral wafers in, and keep those also very handy, very close by. And I have my frit if I want to use frit. I have that also ready. And I have this little enamel spoon that I use when I use the frit to sprinkle the frit on top. You don't have to have that, but it's kind of nice to have it. So I'll show you how I use that as well. I already showed you the floral wafers and how they come. Excuse me. Now, as far as the enamels go, if I'm using an opaque enamel, I don't put a base coat on it. I just put 2 coats of the opaque enamel on the penny. If I'm going to use a transparent color, I'm going to put an opaque white on it as a first coat, and then I will put the transparent enamel on top of that, okay? So I have all my enamels also close by that I can reach and get. I also have what's called a bead pulling station. That is this piece of, I don't know, I think it's aluminum. And the bottom hooks on to like a ceramic tile. And I put that in front. I'll see if I can show you the setup here. All right, so it's hooked onto the ceramic tile. And then I have a little aluminum foil bread pan that I put on top of that. And I'll show you why I use that. I don't use it all the time, but when I do need it, it's pretty handy. Okay, so that's my setup. Do we have any questions? Plumber's torch. I was looking for hothead. The hothead is the word that I was not coming out of my mouth when I needed it to. It's called a hothead torch. And if I can remember, I'll get up later and show you what that is. Okay. All right. So I think we're ready to start enameling the pennies. And I hope this doesn't make too much noise that you can't hear me, and I hope that I'll be in the frame. I should be in the frame here. So basically what I'm going to do is put the penny on my mandrel. And I'll start with just some plain ones, not the curved ones. So I'm going to put my penny on the mandrel like so. And then I'm going to heat it up. I'm going to heat it up till it's glowing orange. And as soon as it starts to glow orange, I'm going to dunk it into the enamel, and then I'm going to tap the excess enamel off on the edge of the can. And then I'm going to fire that enamel until it starts to glow again, and then I'm going to dunk it back in here. And at that point, once I've got the second coat, this penny is going to be more stable because there'll be enamel that sticks to the mandrel, and it will help hold it in place. This can be very dangerous if you're not cautious or doing the things that I'm telling you to do. So you don't want to push your penny up like this, where this could, well, there's enamel on here. The penny could just fall back. The hot penny could fall back and scorch your hands. We don't want that. So You're going to keep your mandrel at a slight angle so that doesn't happen. But like I said, once the enamel adheres to the mandrel, it holds that penny in place. Because then I'm going to turn the penny on its side at an angle like this, and I'm going to apply my floral wafers on top of that and hold this under the flame. It'll all make sense once you start seeing me do this. I just want to explain it to you so that you understand what you're seeing. Okay. Always use safety first. Just be careful. All right. So I'm going to light my torch. And that's going to be full blast. Got my mandrel on the right side, my enamel on the left side. I'll do one and then I'll stop and make sure everybody could hear me and see me. Starting to get red hot. Here we go. Dunk, tap, and back in the flame. I'm going to move to my left hand, and while that's in my left hand, I'm going to start to put my millefiori on top. If your penny isn't hot enough, if the enamel isn't hot enough, the millefiori are going to just slide right off. So it's got to have something to stick to. And you can put as many or as few on here as you want. Sometimes they fly right off of your tweezers. Excuse me. Oh, that one popped right off. And this is where, if you're using the tripod, you would be underneath it. The flame would be underneath it. Tweezers. And if you stay in the same spot too long with your mandrel, you're going to burn through your mandrel. So there's a few do's and don'ts. I don't know if you can tell that that's melting, but it is. And you want to keep that flame underneath the penny as much as possible. Okay. Now what I'm doing here is I'm twisting my mandrel. I'm twisting the penny to kind of come down the mandrel and get off of that enamel spot that was holding it on the mandrel. And then I'm going to pick up my mandrel from the top with the pliers and come over to my heat-proof surface here and knock that down to the bottom. I'll go over that again, because you're probably saying, what? So now I'm heating up the excess enamel that's on the mandrel till I get this red hot. I want to get all that excess off of there. And then I'm going to put it in the quench jar. Okay, so I just put that mandrel in the water glass. So that cracks off all the extra enamel that was on that rod. All right, I'll do that again, but let's see here. All right. All right. Okay, I don't see any other comments. Oh, Debbie said she made her own bead pulling station. Yep, you can do that too. You can do that too. All right, so I didn't mention having a heat-proof surface, but I've just got a baking sheet right here. Um, you could have a ceramic tile on there. It really doesn't matter what you use as long as you don't burn your tile. I mean, burn your table. Okay, so as the piece starts to cool, the color starts to come out. You can see that or not. This is still hot. If you want to cool them quicker, you can put it on your steel block and that will cool that piece off pretty quick. I'll pick it up after it's cool a little, and we can then go over the steps and any questions. Okay. Yeah, these little floral wafers are really cool. They they they're just pretty. Okay. All right, that should be cool pretty quick. Then we'll do one with some frit. It is already cool. So that's the one that I just did. And I used bitter green. That's 01319. That's that color. Bitter green is a very pretty green. The backs don't look so great, but that really doesn't matter for what we're doing with it. Okay. What kind of torch is this? This brand, this is a Chinese brand of some sort. This is called Fun Owlet. I'll write all this stuff down in the group. This is just one of many that they sell on Amazon. So so far this has been working out okay. A micro torch isn't going to do it. Just in case you're curious, that's just not powerful enough. There's not enough flame to melt the enamel. Okay, so let's do another one. This one I'll do with some frit. And I'll do a different color. Enamel ready? This is also an opaque, so just 2 coats is enough. Take my frit, spoon, unless that enamel is warm, the frit's just going to bounce right off. Be mindful of your mandrel, that it doesn't get too hot in one spot so it doesn't break off. Hold it vertically for just a minute. When you hold it vertically like this, sometimes whatever you've got on top of it can kind of slide down. So you want to kind of be mindful of that as well. Trying to keep that flame underneath. Then I'm going to use the bead pulling station to get this one off. It doesn't want to come off right away. You need to heat up where that hole is, the hole in the mandrel leak, and then that just popped off. And clean off my mandrel. And put it in the water. So now this is in the bread pan. Oh, I didn't melt all the frit enough. But it's okay if you want the texture. If you want texture to show, you can leave it without being thoroughly melted. However, if you don't like that, we can just reheat this with no problem. And that's what I'm going to do right now. That's one great thing about enamel, is that you can always redo it if you want to. Let's put this back where it was. And light the torch again. At bead pulling station, I just scooted up the coin. If you didn't see that, the coin was coming back too far. So I just used the bead pulling station to scoot it back a little bit. Okay, just dropped it off. Okay. These cans get very cold after you're using them for a little while. They get very cold, so I'm going to switch it out. Let that the butane in there kind of warm up again. The gas doesn't flow out as well when the can starts to get real cold like that. So I'm going to switch it out with another one while that one cools off a little bit. All right, let's see. Where'd it go? Oh, I didn't make it into the bread pan. It missed. I missed it. All right, so we'll let that one cool off. Actually, put that on the bench block, and that'll cool off faster. Any questions? All right, let me see here. Okay, so Joe, the green was bitter green. I don't know if you caught that or not. Hey, Tammy. I'm not sure about a Smith Little. I think the flame is probably too fine. I think you need a little bushier flame for this. The mandrel is a stainless steel mandrel. You can get them online. I know Painting with Fire on Etsy carries them. But actually, all they are is like stainless steel rods that you can get at a welding supply. and you can cut them to the length that you want. Usually about 12 inches is about right. Uh, yeah, Jo says she likes this method of enameling. Yeah, a lot of this stuff works hand in hand, really. The Smith air acetylene, I don't know because I don't have that, so I'm not familiar with that. I'm sorry, Debbie. Hi, Gail. Okay. All right. I think that's that. Now, I'm going to do a double hold one, and that is a little dicey. So I want you to be very careful if you do this. I can't think of a safer way to do it unless you do it on a tripod and trivet. That might be a better solution. Um, but I'll show you how I do mine. And you know, I don't know. I don't always have the the best methods for things. I picked some Aki colors for that one, unfortunately. All right, so for the double hold one, here's the thing. When you have the mandrel in the top hole, but you have the bottom hole uh, unprotected, so a lot of that enamel can slide right into that hole and close it up, which defeats the purpose. Then you can't use it for the purpose intended. Um, and the only way I could come up with it, and I've tried several different things, but I poke it with another mandrel before I get it off of the mandrel before I take it down, take it off. Um, and I had it in my mind that graphite might work, um, but it doesn't. At least not in the way that I used it. I bought some graphite pencil leads that were a couple millimeters thick, not the average pencil lead that you would use in a mechanical pencil. But I was thinking, actually, I have one right here. I was thinking that the graphite or the enamel wouldn't stick to the graphite. And in theory, it shouldn't. However, when I had it in the torch, the graphite caught on fire. So that was out. That's a no. It's a hard no. Um, so my good idea in my head didn't pan out. So the only other way is to poke it with a another mandrel. If you come up with something different, please let me know because um, I would rather make sure I'm not afraid to try this stuff, but I don't want to be like I don't want to be responsible if you hurt yourself doing this. So if you are not confident to try it, I would say skip it. Okay, so all right, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let's get a different color here. I'll do a transparent. I didn't do a transparent yet. I did two opaques. So I have some copper green transparent right here. And if your enamel seems a little packed, you need to loosen it up a little bit, but very carefully. Just take a dry mandrel and just give it a little stir. You don't want to be working up enamel in the air, so just be careful with that. I don't use a mask for this. If I was doing a ton of it, I probably would wear a mask, but you do what you're comfortable with. All right, so here's the double hold one. I have a different torch set up here. These mandrels are usable or reusable for quite a while. They do soften up and they bend a little bit sometimes. Uh, if if it's when you twirl it like this, if it's all bendy, that's not going to work well for you, but you can straighten it out with the pliers a little bit. But the important thing is to keep all that extra enamel off of it. And then if that end gets bad, you can turn it over and use the other end until that gets bad. So there you go. All right, so since I'm using a transparent, I'm going to give it a coat of white first and then 2 coats of transparent. Where am I at? Okay. All right. I might give this one 3. All right, now I'm going to start putting some little floral wafers on here. Kind of flew off. That one's going to be a little bit of a puddle. That wasn't hot enough. See how I'm trying to get it from the back? Trying to get it all melted in from the back side, not from the front. The hole is a little bit plugged up, but not bad. Okay. All right. So that's open. And I'm going to just twirl this down a little bit so it's not stuck on the enamel anymore. I'm going to grab this with my pliers and go to my heat-proof surface and knock that down. Burn off the extra enamel here. Okay. So I just dump this on a tile. Ooh, I like the colors on this. All right, I'm going to put this on the steel bench block, and it'll cool off in just a minute. So that wasn't too dicey. Deb's asking if I could use a fork type thing to hold both Holes. I don't know. It gets hard to hold. I mean, I had it where my second mandrel that was poking the hole on the bottom got stuck a few times. So it's like I've got two mandrels with these holes, and it's like, how do I get this off? Uh, I don't know. I mean, if you guys can come up with something better, uh, that'd be okay. But I mean, this works. It's just maybe not the safest uh, method to do it. But like I said, if you're cautious, uh, you can pull it off. So, but that's pretty. That's a really pretty combo right there. So this was I mean, the flowers take over most of the color of the background color, but it does take on different appearances depending on the background color you choose. This was copper green. This is a really pretty translucent color or transparent color. So, so that's that. I think I'll do one more with the double holes, um, and then maybe one more just with a single hole, just to I don't know, to kind of go over it with you a little bit more if you feel you didn't see enough. All right, so let's pick. Uh, let's do a red. This is opaque, so I only need two coats. I have my two mandrels. Thanks. This is big fun. To me, it's instant gratification. It's like you don't have to wait for things to heat up or things to cool down. It's like you just hit it with the fire and you're done. So I've had many hours of fun with enamel. All right, so let's do my eyes back. It's funny, the red turns black for just a second. The enamel turns black. I'll try to show you in the can. Just for a second, it turns black. Where the heat hit. All right, so I've got my two coats on of the opaque. You see, this is how it sticks. That penny is held on by the enamel that's on the mandrel right now. And I'm off of the flame right now while I'm picking through my what I want to put on here. But like I said before, if your enamel isn't hot, the little wafers just fall off like that. But you could do this on a tripod and trivet. Same thing, only the flame is more directly under than we are here. Flinging them off. And you can put as many, like I said, as many or few as you want. Just depends on the look you're going for, and just even using those little tiny pieces that are cracked in the bag. That's it. Heat from behind right now, and then I'll turn it back over on its side because I don't want them to drip, slide. You want the flame to always be behind your enamel, not on top of it, because you can muddy the colors from the flame if you work on top. If you just hit it briefly, that's okay, but not to stay on there because you'll get like a sooty kind of reaction. One is one flour doesn't want to melt. Maybe it was a little bit too thick. I think I'm getting lucky with the second hole here. No, spoke too soon. All right, so now I'm going to take this is where I was saying I'm getting stuck. But what I'm going to do is take this mandrel and let it fall. Get rid of that one. And now I can get this off of here. I got too much, I got a glob here on the bottom. Oh, I think I burned the crap out of this one and it's stuck. But these are good things for you to see. What I'm going to do is stick this little end in my water bowl to crack off that enamel without getting the penny compromised. Okay, I took it off into the bead pulling station. Get my enamel off here. This one that I dropped, I just want to take the enamel off of this as well and put it in the jar. Okay. I think I burned this one to a crisp. I have to let it cool off before I show that one to you. Let me grab a hothead torch and a cylinder just to show you that. Hang on just one sec. Okay. All right. This is a hothead torch right here. And this is a can of propane, and you can attach that to this and attach this to your table with a seat with a clamp, table clamp, and then you can put this at an angle. Well, it goes at an angle, but these are very loud, but it works. It's a lot hotter heat than what I was just using here. So that's another option if you wanted to do that. But if you're torching by yourself, who cares how loud it is? I mean, it's not unbearable. It's just distracting when you have other people or when I'm trying to do a demo. It just is so loud for that that I don't like to use it for that. I prefer the lampwork torch, but not everybody's going to have that unless you do lampwork. So, um, but I'll tell you, the first time I tried enameling, and I think it was 2011. I took a course with or a class with Barbara Lewis up in Milwaukee, and I went with a couple of my girlfriends, and God, we had so much fun. It was like this is just unbelievable. So we wanted to do all kinds of torch firing, and I've always preferred this method. It's what I learned on the first time, and I really like it. Although there's nothing, absolutely nothing wrong with the torch or the tripod and trivet or the kiln method. It's whatever you have or whatever you prefer. Um, and you can do beads. You can do kind of like filigree beads that are, well, they're made of iron, which is a whole nother thing. But you can do these filigree beads with this method too. And that's where the bead pulling station really comes in handy because you need a way to get that bead off of the mandrel. I could not do it the way I was doing it with my pliers. So that is a very necessary thing if you're going to do that. Now let me catch up with any questions or comments. Uh, 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 the Millefiori or they're actually known as floral wafers. Um, they are like little tiny slivers of Millefiori. These are just little tiny. These are little tiny rods that they make uh, with them. They're much smaller than the traditional Millefiori uh, or Morini, whatever you want to call it. But these are little tiny ones, and I'm assuming they're opaque. I don't know, but I think so. Um, oh, you notice that they sold both at Thompson's? You know what? I never looked that far. This just says floral wafers, floral enamel wafers, Vitrico. These I did happen to get at Thompson, but like I said, Enamel Warehouse, Jean Van Brederode's site on Etsy, she sells the exact same thing because she gets her stuff from Thompson. Thompson. So you'll get the same thing if you order from her. Uh, 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 uh. Okay. No, I didn't get them at. I have. You know what? I've totally not looked at Delphi in a long time. So uh, I guess if they have them too, that's another resource to get them. And hello, Marianne, by the way. Let's see here. Okay, I did go over how I put the holes in the pennies, um, but all I did, well, I used a drill press, Gail, and I punched holes on both sides. And if I was going to dap the pennies, if I wanted them dapped, like this one is dapped, this one has the curve in it. I dapped it first, and then I drilled the holes in them. So the holes just work better if you drill them after. Uh, 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 uh. So let's see here. Yeah, Rings and Things just recent, or they went out of business. It's a shame. A lot of businesses just have bit the dust in the last couple years. And yes, this can all be done in the kiln as well. The key is not putting too much enamel on because, like I said, the more enamel you put on, the more chances you have to fill these holes up, and you don't want that because then you can't get your jump rings in. So this last one, I burned the heck out of it. It was red, and now it's like caca black. So you win some, you lose some. But anyway, it's a learning experience, and there's a learning curve to this, just like everything else. But once you've got, um, a significant amount of these, you can turn them into cute little projects. I'm just bound and determined to spill that water jar. I have to keep moving it away because I get klutzy. Yeah, Rings and Things, they bit the dust. So yeah, you can make all those little single hole ones into earrings. You can put another hole at the bottom before you enamel, of course, and then hang dangles from here if you like. You can do that as well. So you can make lots of fun stuff uh, with minimal effort and really have fun while you're doing it. So you can see Abe on the back of this one. You can see him pretty well. Good old Abe. So value wise, you don't have a lot of money in one of these things because you are using pennies. It's all the other stuff that you're using. But you don't have to cut any discs. You've got them all ready to roll. So that's kind of fun. Now I have made these curved ones in the kiln when I wanted to put the regular size Millefiori on here. And what I did with that, say I would put like maybe 3 of the regular size Murini on here. And what I did was I torch fired them. They're thicker, they're bigger and they're thicker, so they don't melt quite as easily. So what I did is kind of like pre-cooked them um, in the immersion method here, on the mandrel. Kind of got them about halfway, and then I put them in the kiln for uh, the rest of the time to get them to melt because you can fry, like you saw in the other one, you can fry your enamel the longer you hold it in the flame. So doing it half and half, half on the torch and half in the kiln, allowed me to use those bigger Millefiori on there too. So, so yeah. Thanks, Joe, on the Byzantine. It just kind of dresses it up a little bit. But if you didn't want to do a pattern, you could just do the chain like 2 links into 2 links into 2 links all the way down, and that's a quick and easy bracelet as well. So this is just kind of fun. So that's it for today, girls and boys. Um, I have another project already in the works for 2 weeks from now, and hopefully that will work out. And then I have a couple other ideas beyond that. And then after that, I'm kind of like, I don't know what I can do, but I will be here in 2 weeks. And then I'll be going to Tucson for the gem show. So I'm not sure if I can squeeze in another, I'd have to look at the calendar if I squeeze in another demo before I go to Tucson. But if I can't, I will try to do something while I am in Tucson. And I'll be at my friend Rhonda's house, and we're gonna see Patty Tingstead. We're gonna go and spend some time over there and do some shopping. So I'm really looking forward to that. But that's at the end of the month. So Anyway, I'm glad you guys were with me today. If you have any other questions, comments, or whatever, just leave it, and I'll get back to them in a bit. I will put some links from Amazon on a couple of things, but really not that much this time around. If there's anything you need. And then if you try this, just like everything else that I do, if you try the projects, please post them because we want to see what you do. It's all good for inspiration and motivation. So thanks for watching, guys. See you in a couple weeks. And in the group. Bye.